Meanwhile, Xiao was inside a cave, focused on cultivation. In her hand, a ring radiated with soul energy, disrupting her concentration. Curious, she examined it. A voice echoed from within the ring. "Little one, as long as you provide me with spiritual energy, I will help you grow stronger. But if you accept me as your master, I will spare no effort in teaching you everything I know." Xiao froze, startled. She removed the ring, holding it in her palm as it hovered gently above her hand. After a long silence, she knelt respectfully, clasped her hands together, and declared, "Master." A hearty laugh rang from within the ring. "Very good, my obedient disciple." Having completed the discipleship ceremony, Xiao slid the ring back onto her finger. Guided by the memories of her master's soul, she obtained a new cultivation technique and resumed training. Time flowed like a fleeting dream. In the blink of an eye, 5 years had passed. At last, Xiao emerged from seclusion transformed. He stepped out of the cave to resume his training. On Zion's side, the system immediately notified him that the host's cultivation was continuing to rise. 5 years quietly slipped by. Within the Chingan sect on Mount Chingan, a mysterious figure, entirely shrouded, sat upon a stone platform in deep secluded cultivation. This was none other than the sect leader, Lai Shan. His expression revealed a trace of strain as torrents of spiritual energy surged violently across the mountain peak. Suddenly, those powerful streams converged into one, surging directly into Lai Shan's body. The disciples of the sect were stunned at the sight. Excitement spread among them as countless jade-green clouds gathered above, enveloping the entire mountain. The disciples quickly recognized this phenomenon. It was the cloud tribulation. Their sect leader was on the verge of breaking through to the Golden Core stage. Messengers rushed to inform the entire sect, and everyone was ordered to evacuate. Suspended high above the ground, Lai Shan rose into the air. Having crossed into the Golden Core realm, he no longer required flying swords to remain aloft. A faint smugness lingered on his lips as he looked down upon his sect with satisfaction, before turning his gaze proudly to the heavens. The disciples halted in their tracks, eyes fixed on their leader. In his hand, he held a bell radiating a powerful wave of spiritual energy. With a glance downward, streams of radiant light burst forth, scattering across the sky. Bright, white currents of energy rushed toward him, converging in unison. The surging beams circled around Lai Shan before pouring violently into his dantian. Enduring the overwhelming force, he steadied his breath, muttering inwardly, "The spiritual energy of heaven and earth is flooding into me at an incredible pace." His aura grew sharper, stronger until finally, with eyes wide and triumphant, he declared to himself, "I have reached the first level of the Golden Core. I have successfully overcome the tribulation." With a victorious smile, Lai Shan slowly descended, his robes fluttering as he landed upon the sect's training grounds. The disciples immediately stepped forward, bowing in unison. "Congratulations, sect leader. Congratulations on breaking through to the Golden Core. Sect leader is unrivaled, peerless under heaven." Lan Yun approached as well, a bright smile on her face. "Master, congratulations on enduring the lightning tribulation and stepping into the Golden Core realm." Lai Shan regarded his disciple warmly. "Yuner, I heard you went to the Zhao family years ago to sever an engagement. Is that true?" Her expression faltered as memories surfaced. She recalled Zhao handsome, refined, and polite. Logically, it had seemed a fitting match. Yet the difference between them was something she knew all too well. "Master, you are correct," she replied calmly, hands clasped. "I also made a promise to that mortal Zhao. In 15 years, I will meet him again. But he is an ordinary man, forever separated from our world. I will make him understand that a quail can never soar into the blue skies." Her master nodded approvingly. "Your character is steady and determined. That is good." The scene shifted to the mountains behind the Zhao family estate, where Zhao Chen sat in meditation, fully immersed in his cultivation. Suddenly, the system's voice echoed in his mind. Congratulations, host. The number of your descendants has reached 1,000. You have earned a reward, a ginseng seedling. Before him, a small ginseng sprout materialized. Xiao Chen reached out, touching it gently, before using his divine sense to summon Ling Shenzi. Come here, quickly. In an instant, Xion activated his teleportation ability, bringing Ling Shenzi to the entrance. The young disciple rushed inside with excitement. Master, I've arrived. Xiao Chen studied his disciple with thoughtful eyes. Ling Shenzi was no ordinary being, he was a spirit, born of heaven and nurtured by earth, his innate talent terrifyingly strong. The system immediately displayed his details. Name, Shen Lingyi. Race, Spirit Clan. Cultivation Technique, Divine Heavenly 9 Transformations Sword Art. Cultivation Level, Foundation Establishment, 5th Layer. Aptitude, 6th Grade Spiritual Root. Xion nodded in approval, remarking that things were progressing quite well and developing quickly. He then took out a ginseng seedling and instructed, "This is a ginseng seedling. Plant it in the courtyard." Shenling Zi immediately agreed, replying respectfully, "Yes, master." As Xion sat in meditation, he quietly observed his disciple planting the ginseng seedling into the soil. Reaching out with his spiritual sense, he examined the current state of the Xia family system. Family System Overview. Family Harmony, all things prosper. Age, 121,200. Cultivation, Golden Core, 9th Layer. Number of descendants, 15. Cultivation Technique, Hong Mang Jai Scripture. Divine Ability, Sword Control Technique Upper Grade. Martial Techniques, Fervor Sword Technique, Falling Sun Upper Grade. Magical Treasure, Upper Grade, 3rd Level. Spirit Root, Supreme Chaos Spirit Root. Elixirs. Embryo Forming Pills, 4. Longevity Pills, 5. Foundation Establishment Pills, Supreme Quality, Quantity Unspecified. Special Skills, Heaven and Earth Comprehension. Xion stroked his chin, clearly pleased with the Xia family's numerous descendants. But amid his satisfaction, he suddenly recalled how long it had been since he last grew a beard. Looking up, he saw Shenling about to finish planting the ginseng seedling. With a quiet murmur to himself, Xion said, "I should return to my room and continue cultivating." Without further delay, he turned and went back to his chamber. Once inside, he sat down immediately and entered meditation. Just then, the system displayed a sudden notification. System Alert. Xia Wu's 15-year appointment has arrived. Initiating selection. Please make a choice. Seeing the message, Xion sighed in his heart. 15 years, how quickly time has passed. Indeed, time waits for no one. Without the system's support, I would already be in my grave by now. Heaven is vast, earth is boundless, and simply being alive is the greatest blessing. A selection panel appeared before him. Choice 1. Attack decisively and help Xia Wu secure victory. Reward, Magical Treasure Upper Grade, 4th Level, 9 Transformations Fire Fist. Choice 2. Trust Xia Wu's strength, remain hidden, and do not interfere. Reward, Divine Ability Sword Summoning. Candidate information. Name, Xia Wu. Race, human. Cultivation Technique, Divine Flying Dragon 9 Swords. Alchemy Technique, World Class. Magical Treasure, Azure Dragon Sword. Cultivation Level, Foundation Establishment, 6th Layer. Aptitude, 4th Grade Spirit Root. Destiny, Flame Emperor. Xion studied the notification board and sighed once more. Wu has made remarkable progress. In that case, he raised his voice calmly. System, I choose option 2. System response. Congratulations, host. Reward received, Sword Summoning Divine Ability. Meanwhile, in the vast training grounds of the Qinggan sect, Xia Wu stood proudly on one side, while Nan Yun occupied the opposite platform. Below, a great crowd had gathered to watch. Nan Yun's expression was cold and displeased. Xia Wu stepped forward, bowing with courtesy as he announced, "Xia family's Xia Wu has arrived. As per the 15-year appointment, I now stand as a man who holds his head high and his feet firmly on the ground." The crowd below murmured with distaste, their whispers filled with ridicule. Nan Yun, silent until now, finally spoke. Her tone was laced with contempt and mockery. "Xia Wu, a useless man with mediocre qualities like you should never dare to dream so high. The Qinggan sect cannot be insulted by the likes of you." With those sharp words, she unsheathed her sword and took her stance. "Today, you will die." Channeling her Kai, she unleashed the wind-tearing sword technique, thrusting directly at Xia Wu. He frowned slightly, raising his sword with calm precision. Meeting her attack head-on, he blocked with ease. Nan Yun's eyes widened as she sensed his cultivation. Shock flickered across her face, and she involuntarily stepped back. Foundation Establishment, 6th layer. The man she once dismissed as useless now stood on equal ground with her. "You should understand," she declared bitterly, "that behind me stands the Qinggan sect." Xia Wu's eyes remained cold as he raised his sword lightly. "So, the Qinggan sect harbors people of mediocre quality after all." He exhaled slowly, then channeled his strength. "Now, try to withstand this flying dragon 9 swords." From his blade erupted a surge of spiritual energy, coalescing into a massive azure dragon. 9 sword energies combined midair, manifesting as a fearsome 5-clawed dragon that filled the arena with crushing might. Nan Yun's eyes widened in disbelief, her mouth falling open in shock. The power was overwhelming, terrifying beyond measure. Snapping out of her daze, she gritted her teeth and raised her sword high. "I am the junior sect master of the Qinggan sect. I cannot lose face before this crowd. Xia Wu, I will fight you to the death." The wind-tearing sword technique unleashed a surge of crimson spiritual energy, striking directly toward the 5-clawed azure dragon. Her attack exploded with a thunderous roar, filling the air with smoke and dust. Yet Huo still stood proudly, unwavering, while Nan Yun had been driven back, forced to her knees. Huo held the retirement letter gently in his hand, gazing down at the 15-year agreement with a sense of superiority. "You've lost." Nan Yun trembled, fear overwhelming her as she clutched herself tightly. "Don't kill me," her voice shook, her heart trembling uncontrollably. For the first time in her life, she truly felt fear. Struggling to her feet, she looked at Huo's back as he turned away, walking without hesitation. Tears blurred her vision. What had Huo endured over all these years? She could never understand. But she knew, deep down, that the hardships he faced were far greater than anything she had suffered as a junior sect leader who merely remained sheltered on the mountain. Her tears fell freely, yet even she couldn't tell if they flowed from regret or humiliation. From the Qinggan sect, several elders stepped forward, blocking Huo's path. One of them already had hidden weapons prepared. "Boy," one of them said coldly, "you've humiliated our junior sect leader. Do you really think you can walk away so easily? Sect leader, if he leaves today, openly and unpunished, the reputation of our Qinggan sect will be completely ruined." Another voice added, "When this matter spreads, our sect will lose all standing. Even an innocent man who steps through heaven's gate is guilty of trespass." Huo sneered at the crowd. "Oh, is that so? I didn't want to kill anyone, but you're forcing my hand. Very well, then." He drew his sword in an instant. Among his opponents, the strongest was the Grand Elder, standing at the 9th layer of Foundation Establishment. The weakest of them had already reached the 6th layer. Huo himself had just endured a grueling battle, his spiritual energy depleted, yet now he was surrounded by 10 enemies. Very quickly, the fight turned against him. Just then, the ring on his hand began to glow, releasing a current of spiritual power. Huo felt the surge immediately, his cultivation rising, his strength climbing toward the golden core realm. With renewed might, he swung his sword, sending several elders flying back. One elder cried out in alarm, "Something's wrong." His cultivation suddenly surged, "It's even stronger than mine." "Don't panic," another reassured. "This kind of sudden increase always has severe side effects." Indeed, Huo's power had spiked because of the hidden support from his master. His sword technique transformed into the form of a flying dragon's claw, striking out fiercely against the elders. But the price was steep. His body trembled, his danshin burned, and his spiritual energy was nearly drained. Forcing himself to unleash the flying dragon sword again, his body grew unbearably hot, exhaustion consuming him. Clutching his sword tightly, Huo thought to himself, "The elders I just knocked away. This is my chance to escape the Chingan sect." But suddenly, an immense pressure fell upon him, a terrifying aura at the golden core stage locking firmly onto his body. Blood surged up his throat, and he coughed violently. The pressure came from none other than the sect leader of Chingan, who floated high above, gazing down with cold disdain. "Chingan sect cannot be humiliated like this," the sect leader declared. "Kneel and admit your guilt. Do so, and I may spare your life." Huo coughed another mouthful of blood, his body half kneeling, struggling to hold himself upright. A bitter smile crossed his face. So the 15-year agreement was nothing more than a joke. Win or lose, I was never meant to leave this place alive, was I? Wiping the blood from his lips, he glared upward. "If that's the case, let's see if you can stop me from leaving the mountain." The sect leader looked down with contempt. "Ignorant fool." He raised his right hand, releasing a crushing wave of spiritual power. Huo gritted his teeth as the enormous force pressed down upon him, the shadow of that hand descending to finish him. Then, suddenly, a deep voice resonated from the glowing ring on Huo's finger. "Huo, entrust your body to me. Chingan sect has no right to humiliate my disciple. No one here can keep you." Huo's eyes widened as he cried out to his master. The master reassured him, "It's all right. You'll only need to rest in deep sleep for a while. After that, you must rely on your own strength." At that moment, Xiaoho's eyes gleamed with light. When the leader of the Chingan sect struck with his massive hand, the force caused a thunderous explosion. Smoke and dust surged through the air. The leader looked down with faint surprise. What's this? Could Xiaoho also possess a hidden technique? Though he noticed Xiaoho's transformation, even his divine sense failed to detect Xiaoho's exact location. Turning to his disciples, he commanded coldly, "Send 2 elders with men to Chingan Mountain. Wipe out the entire Xiao family." The elders bowed respectfully. "Yes, sect leader." Without hesitation, the group departed toward the Xiao family estate. Meanwhile, in a small cave deep in the mountains, Xiaoho, battered but alive, sat silently, tending to his wounds. In his heart, he called out to his master. Days later, atop the back mountain of the Xiao family, bolts of lightning fell relentlessly from the heavens. Xiao Chen looked skyward with solemn focus. He had reached the peak of the Golden Core stage, and today marked his attempt to break through into the nascent soul realm. Channeling his spiritual power, immense energy surged around him. His body slowly lifted into the air as he prepared for the trial of lightning. The Xiao family descendants warned one another urgently, "No one is to approach the back mountain. Hurry, retreat at once." Xiao Chen remained standing firm, facing the heavenly punishment without fear. Strike after strike of lightning lashed his body, yet he smiled calmly, unshaken. He endured each bolt, one after another, until nearly half a watch later when the storm subsided. The sky cleared, blue and vast once more, the thunderclouds scattering completely. An elder with white hair sighed with relief. It was nothing more than a powerful thunderstorm. Everyone returned. The patriarch, however, kept his gaze fixed on the heavens, where Xiao Chen now descended, his body glowing with radiant light. Touching down gently, he closed his eyes and whispered, "I've succeeded. I have entered the nascent soul realm." Before his chest hovered a small spirit sitting cross-legged in cultivation. Ling Enzi stepped forward with concern. "Master, are you unharmed?" Xiao Chen turned toward his disciple with a faint smile. "I'm fine. The nascent soul tribulation was not so fearsome." Ling Enzi bowed slightly, following behind. "Congratulations, Master, on stepping into the nascent soul stage. Your martial path grows ever more prosperous. Lightning tribulation will trouble you no longer." Together, Master and disciple returned to their chamber, resuming their cultivation. Xiao Chen glanced at the system's display. Host, Xiao Chen. Age, 125 1,500ths. Cultivation, nascent soul, first layer. Descendants, 178. Cultivation method, Hongmen Zai scripture. Divine ability, word sword technique, first class upper grade. Sword techniques, Falling Sun 3rd class upper grade, Sword Coming 3rd class upper grade. Spirit route, Supreme Chaos Spirit route. Elixirs, 4-star longevity pill, 5-star longevity pill. Special information, Tao Master of Heaven and Earth. He rubbed his nose slightly. Once a mortal bound by birth, aging, sickness, and death, now he possessed a lifespan of 1,000 years. Suddenly, the system's voice echoed. Scene detected. Disciples of the Qinggan sect have entered the Xiao family's territory. Initiating choice. Please select. Choice 1. Take the initiative, fly out, and kill them. Reward. 5th grade upper class magical treasure. Choice 2. Remain in seclusion, continue self-development. Reward. 4th grade middle class magical treasure. Xiao Chen hesitated for a moment. If he desired peace, the second option was the safer path. But if his family were exterminated, what meaning would his cultivation hold? How could he allow the Xiao descendants to be slaughtered by outsiders? Without the slightest doubt, he raised his hand and chose the first option. Immediately, detailed information appeared before him. Name, Danon Song. Race, human. Cultivation, Foundation Establishment, first layer. Identity, disciple of Qinggan sect. Name, L. Shan. Race, human. Cultivation, Foundation Establishment, 8th layer. Identity, elder of Qinggan sect. More names followed. In total, there were 10 intruders, the strongest among them being the 2 elders, both at the 8th layer of Foundation Establishment. Xiao Chen smiled faintly. So this is all they've sent, just a handful of lackeys. Xion vanished in an instant before Ling Chenzi's eyes. Ling Chenzi looked at his master with awe, marveling at how much faster he had become. By now, night had fallen, and the moon shone brightly overhead. The disciples of the Qinggan sect stood gathered as their sect leader's command echoed. Eliminate every member of the Xia family, young or old. This will ensure they are unprepared when Xia Hon returns. Strike the moment you are within 100 meters. A disciple standing behind them could not help but admire the order. The 2 elders are truly brilliant. Their strategies are unmatched. Hearing such praise, the so-called elders smirked with pride, their faces twisted with self-satisfaction. But then, Xion appeared behind them like a shadow, his presence cold and sharp. "The Qinggan sect claims righteousness," he said evenly, "yet I did not expect actions so treacherous and vile." The disciples froze in shock, uncertain of who had spoken. Xion's calm voice continued, "If that is the case, then this old man cannot allow you to live." The Qinggan sect disciples drew their swords in unison. One shouted, "Who dares speak so arrogantly? Our master has already reached the golden core stage. Do you not fear that your words will seal your fate?" At once, The two elders exchanged a signal and roared together, "Kill him!" The order unleashed the entire group, swords thrusting toward Zion. The elders smirked arrogantly. "Still think yourself formidable? Your death will not be in vain." Zion curled his lips into a faint smile. Where does such confidence come from? With that, he invoked a technique. The swords lunged forward, yet instead of striking him, they turned and pierced into the very disciples who wielded them. The two elders faltered, their expressions filled with shock. What is happening? Where did these swords come from? Could the Shia family have prepared an ambush? Someone cried out in panic, "Elders, look above!" The elders raised their eyes, only to see a host of swords spinning in the air, enveloped in Zion's spiritual energy. With his face calm and unshaken, Zion declared, "This is the true meaning of sword coming." Fear overwhelmed the elders. "Quick, retreat! Report to the sect leader," one shouted frantically. "Destroying the Shia family is impossible. This man cannot be opposed." The crowd broke into a panicked retreat. Zio Chen, observing, lifted his hand. With a simple gesture, he directed the spiritual force at the fleeing disciples. Each sword descended, cutting them down one by one. A system prompt suddenly appeared before him. "Congratulations, host. You have obtained a superior-grade magical treasure, the 5-element Chingan sword." A golden blade slowly materialized before Zion, its brilliance unmatched. He grasped it, his eyes gleaming with approval. "Not bad, not bad. With the 5-element Chingan sword, I no longer need to rely on spirit swords." Gathering his kai, Zion rose lightly into the air and disappeared into the night like a gust of wind. Several days later, under the cover of darkness, the Chingan sect's main hall was filled with tension. At the top sat sect leader Lai Chingan, his expression thunderous. Below him, 2 rows of disciples knelt in silence, not daring to lift their eyes. Lai Chingan's palm slammed against the chair in fury. "Who dares slaughter the elders of my Chingan sect?" His voice trembled with rage. "It seems the Shia family is far more formidable than expected." The hall fell into fearful silence. None dared utter a word. Lai Chingan's glare sharpened. Those 2 elders had already reached the 8th layer of foundation establishment, supported by many disciples of the same realm, yet all of them were annihilated. I will go to the Shia family myself and uncover the identity of this so-called mysterious protector. Meanwhile, at the Shia estate, incense smoke curled gracefully upward from a bronze burner. Zio Chen sat in deep meditation, his cultivation progressing at twice the usual pace. Spiritual energy swirled around him, forming the image of a miniature Zion. He summoned the system and opened his personal information. Host, Zio Chen. Age, 125 1,500. Cultivation, nascent soul, 1st layer. Descendants, 1,278. Cultivation technique, Hong Zuchai Sutra. Divine ability, rare language. Sword techniques. Falling Sun superior grade, 1st level. Sword coming superior grade, 3rd level. Magical treasures. 3-cornered Chonin pouch superior grade. 5-element Chingan sword superior grade. Spirit root, supreme chaos. Pills, Zion 4 stars, longevity pill 5 stars, supreme Judon 1 star. Special ability, probe the personal information of heaven and earth. Looking over the board of information, Zio Chen thought to himself, with such longevity, the Shia family's bloodline will endure for over 100 generations to come. Mini Xiao Chen rose from the house. Floating, he looked down and saw wedding scenes, babies being born and learning to walk, people growing up, and he smiled happily. The current state of the Shia family business left this old man very satisfied. Suddenly, he detected a strange aura. Why was a golden core cultivator infiltrating here? The system scanned for information and displayed the external situation of Chingan sect along with the intruder's details: name, Li Chingan, race, human, Cultivation, Golden Core First Layer. Talent, 4th grade Spirit Route. The system also showed a special identity, Sect Leader of Chingan Sect. He looked at the notification and muttered, "The Sect Leader of Chingan Sect, huh? Unexpectedly, it's Li Qingshan." If a Golden Core cultivator went on a killing spree in the Xia family, it would be disastrous, like a ticking time bomb. My cultivation has already surpassed the Golden Core stage and reached nascent soul, he thought. So this Chingan Sect leader can't be allowed to live. Zion frowned. Only the dead posed no danger at this moment. On a dark road, lights around had come on. Li Qingshan thought to himself that the Xia family was more like a small city within Lori City. This family was indeed not simple. He smiled lightly. It seems I need to investigate more thoroughly now. The moon had risen high and the stars twinkled in the distance. A stream of spiritual energy spoke. "Fellow Taoist, what do you think of the Xia family's scenery?" Li Qingshan stopped, alert. This Xia family was indeed not as simple as it appeared. "I must stay calm," he told himself, clasping his hands and smiling. Fellow Taoist must be joking. The Xia family's spiritual energy is rich, and the beautiful scenery makes it suitable for cultivation. It's just that this time I've come uninvited. I hope the fellow Taoist will allow me to make amends. Please give me a chance to meet in person and apologize. Zion looked at the system displaying Li Qingshan's image and thought, "As if I'd fall for your trick. If you dare come, I'll kill you." Zion raised his hand, emanating a source of spiritual power. "If you want to come and apologize, this old man has prepared top-grade tea on the mountain behind the Xia family. I invite fellow Taoists to the mountain behind the Xia family." The sound of Xia Chen's voice reached Li Qingshan's position. He immediately rushed over and landed gently near where Zion was sitting. "This one, Mianzi, is honored to meet you," he said, clasping his hands politely. Zion poured tea with one hand and said, "This old man is the patriarch of the Xia family, Xia Chen. Please sit." Zio Chen poured tea slowly and added, "You're about to die, so there's no need to hide anymore." Li Qingshan, sitting on the other side, said, "The Zio family patriarch is indeed a cultivator. Finally, the appointment from 15 years ago that rendered my beloved disciple useless, it was all caused by the Xia family. Today I must kill you, old man." The system notified a killing intent from Li Qingdan, +1. Zion remained unconcerned and calmly replied. Then Li Qingshan's attitude suddenly shifted. Smiling, he said, "Brother Xia has built such a great enterprise, and your thinking is also very formidable, truly a hero." He smiled but felt unease inside. Brother Xia's cultivation was so powerful. He wondered where the successor was. After those words, Zion received a series of killing intents from Li Qingshan. He smiled lightly and looked up. "You bastard," he said. "When you die later, I'll certainly give you an acting award." With that, Zion crushed the cup in his hand. Li Qingshan spoke up, making a request. "Brother Xia's place looks so elegant. This junior boldly asks permission to admire it." Zion agreed calmly and leisurely, then led him on a tour, stepping slowly towards a painting. This painting is a work by the northern master Mingja. This sword must be the famous 5th grade Qingyun sword. It cuts iron like mud, rare in this world. And there's the ox-shaped flower, a precious blossom that only blooms on the left bank of the river. Eating it can help increase one's power. Li Qingshan thought to himself that the Xia family had connections with clans in all regions, yet he still couldn't sense the existence of a disciple as mysterious as a bottomless abyss. Zion looked at him and said, "I'm just a mountain dweller, not affiliated with any sect. My cultivation is ordinary, just golden core stage 2, nothing special." Li Qingshan thought to himself, "After inquiring about your 18th generation ancestors, I'll kill you?" Regarding what Zion said, he was still half believing, half doubting. But what he could deduce was that there was only one cultivator Zion, and there couldn't be any others. So the spirit greedy worm had reverted to its original form. Its aura completely disappeared. To Li Qingshan, it was just a white radish. He clasped his hands and said with a pretense, "Today, meeting the Xia family's patriarch is truly an honor. However, I still need to go somewhere else. I won't bother you anymore." The system displayed, killing. Intent from Li Qingshan. Zion raised the teacup to his mouth. This Qinglan sect is truly all the same. Li Qingzan turned to leave. Zion sat calmly in his chair and said loudly, "See Leader Li, take care." When Lang Zan heard Zion say, "See Leader Li," he was startled. His identity had been exposed and a sense of danger enveloped him. Zion immediately summoned his sword, then, using spiritual power, sent the flying sword toward Lang Zan. He didn't turn his head, but could feel a pressure approaching. It was soul cultivation. At this moment, the swords were ready to strike. Under Xiao Chan's command, without hesitation, they advanced, piercing through Lang Chen's body. He widened his eyes in disbelief. He had intended to ambush someone but ended up being ambushed instead. Xiao Chan's expression remained calm. One move executed was indeed a move, and it had terrifying power. Zion used his divine sense to examine Li Qingsha. Then certainly Zion could confirm that Lang Shan had completely disappeared. Zion looked at the spot where Lang Shan had been standing earlier and wondered, "Oh, what's this?" The system displayed a soul fragment of the Dark Soul Palace's local elder Wang Yi used to control Lang Shan. Dark Soul Palace? What's that? Who's Wang Yi? Never heard of them before, but if it's the person behind controlling Lang Shan, then they deserve to die. The soul remnant floated and said, "Who are you? How dare you kill a pawn of the Dark Soul Palace?" Zion smiled lightly and asked, "Listen carefully." He swung his sword, smiling wickedly. "I am your father." Then he immediately slashed the soul remnant, cutting it in half. The system announced, "Resentment from Wang Yi +1." At the Dark Soul Palace headquarters, Wang Yi sat frowning. Then the pain from his soul made him open his eyes. He spat out a mouthful of blood. He reached into his robe, searching for something, then put 2 pills in his mouth. "Dare to kill a part of my soul? I must kill you. I'll strip your tendons and flesh, then mince you," he hissed. He sat focused, gritting his teeth, and continued. "Finally, I'll extract your soul, throw it into a furnace to burn day and night without rest. You'll want to live but can't, and can't die either. I will make your entire family suffer the same pain. But there's still the sect leader's long-term plan. For now, I can temporarily suppress this anger." A few days later at the Qinggan sect, voices could be heard saying, "The Qinglan sect leader has vanished without a trace. All the sect elders have also lost their lives. The entire sect is now like a headless snake." Disciples in the sect were all worried and confused. Nalin Yun sat there looking at everyone sadly. Only she knew that Master Li Qingzan had gone to the Xia family. Holding a paper in her hand, she teared up. "Xia family, Xia Wu. Unfortunately, there's no medicine for regret in this world." Her eyes gazed into the distance. Now, because of Xia Hu's matter, her hair had turned white overnight and all her long-held beliefs were gradually shattering. Previously, Qinglan's sect had acted recklessly, offending many people. She stood up, looking at the disciples talking to each other. As for the disciples whose hearts were wavering, they secretly gathered valuable items from the sect and made excuses to leave Qinglan's sect. Those who stayed were all of poor quality. That's all there is to it. Very soon, the entire Qinglan sect will disband. A few days later, Qing-El sect officially announced its dissolution. At this time, in a crowded inn, people sat talking. A few days ago, their sect leader Li Qinggan had just reached the golden core stage, hadn't he? I think that Qinglan sect must have offended the wrong person who knows who it was. Someone who could make a powerful sect like Qinglan sect disband. Another person who liked to chime in added, "Qinglan sect was, after all, the largest sect for over 1,000 years around here. Who would have the ability to destroy Qinggan sect? It's really hard to believe." At this moment, behind Xia Mountain, Xiai was leaning on a cane, panting as he climbed the stairs. Xiao Chen, seeing his son like this, immediately used teleportation to bring him before himself and asked, "Lear, what brings you to see me?" Being suddenly teleported made Shai exclaim in admiration, "Father's teleportation is truly masterful." He stammered, "Father, Qinglan's sect has collapsed." Xion calmly looked at his son and replied, "I know. The Qinglan sect's fate was my doing." His words made Sha's eyes widen, spilling the tea he was drinking. He hadn't expected father to casually act and be able to destroy Qinglan. Seeing his son's reaction, Xion smiled softly, choosing not to explain further. Turning to his son, he instructed, "Gather all descendants of the Xiao family who possess spiritual roots and bring them here. Linky will teach them cultivation techniques." Shai bowed respectfully. "Yes, father. I will arrange it immediately." Xion waved his hand, dismissing him. "Go now. I must continue my cultivation." Lowering his head, Shai clasped his hands with reverence, silently vowing to himself, "Once I return, I must carry out father's instructions without delay." Several hundred miles from Qingyan Mountain, Xia, who sat cross-legged, tending to his wounds. After a month of treatment with various medicinal pills, most of his injuries had nearly healed. "Now, I can finally make my way to Qingyan Mountain and investigate news of the Qingyan sect," he muttered. At the foot of the mountain, he asked passers-by for information. Their replies shocked him. "What? The Qingyan sect is gone?" he asked, stunned. "That's right," a passerby confirmed. "It disbanded long ago. No one knows who was behind it." Xiao stood frozen, his mind blank. He had never expected that while he was recovering, the entire sect would be destroyed. His expression hardened as he murmured, "For me, this counts as revenge served." Raising a ring in his hand, he asked, "Master, where do we go now?" The master's voice echoed calmly, "Next, we head to Tianqing Tower." Xiao was momentarily puzzled, but quickly nodded in agreement. He recalled the memories his master had shared. Tianqing Tower was a supreme force personally founded by his master far beyond anything the Qinglan sect had ever been. Meanwhile, back at the Xiao family estate, a system notification suddenly rang out. "Detected. The host's descendants have reached 2,000. Reward received, top-grade magical treasure cloud-chasing boots." Xion opened his eyes in surprise. He had not expected his lineage to grow so quickly. Before him, a pair of light gray boots shimmered into existence, spiritual energy swirling around them. Reaching out, he took the cloud-chasing boots and immediately tried them on. In an instant, they vanished from sight as if they had never existed. Testing them, he discovered his speed had at least doubled. Years passed. Within 5 years, the entire Qingyan Mountain had fallen under the control of the Xiao family, and Luit City had become their territory as well. Hovering in the skies above, Xiao Chen surveyed the lands below. Rumors spread far and wide, claiming the Xiao family was guided by a mysterious master. Thanks to Linky's teachings, those with spiritual roots had all embarked on the cultivation path. The number of descendants and cultivators steadily grew, and the Xiao family rose to regional prominence. Opening his system interface, Xiao Chen raised his hand. Family harmony brings prosperity. He viewed his personal status. Host, Xiao Chen. Age, 130 of 1,800. Cultivation, Nascent Soul Realm, Level 2. Descendants, 2008. Cultivation Method, Dream Crimson Chest Scripture. Divine Skill, HSE Sword Technique. Magical Treasures, Falling Sun Sword Top Grade, 1st Level, Universe Expanding Treasure 3rd Level, Qingyan Building Treasure 5th Level, Cloud Chasing Boots 4th Level. Spiritual Root, Chaos Supreme Root. Elixirs, Youth Preserving Pill, 4-star Longevity Pill, 5-star Nascent Soul Pill, Supreme 1-star Pill. Special Probes, Tao Field, Heaven and Earth. Xion stroked his chin with satisfaction. Such a long lifespan truly is a blessing. Perhaps I should also check on the others. He shifted his focus to Xia Hu's profile. Name, Xia Hu. Race, human. Cultivation method, divine flying dragon 9 swords. Skills, sword control, world-class alchemy. Magical treasure, azure dragon sword. Cultivation, golden core, stage 2. Talent, supreme grade spiritual root. Identity, master of Tianing Tower. Special destiny, flame emperor's fate. Reading the information, Zion burst into hearty laughter. Unbelievable. Already at the golden core stage? A genius beyond compare, and now the master of Tianing Tower as well. Truly worthy of being a descendant of the Xiao family. As he thought further, Zion turned his attention to his eldest son. Qiai had recently broken through to the Kai condensation stage. Spreading his divine sense, Zion enveloped the entire Xiao family estate until his perception locked onto Xiai, leaning on a cane. With a flicker of spiritual energy, Xiai was instantly brought before him. Xiai clasped his hands and bowed. "Father, did you summon me?" Zion examined the system panel displaying his son's details. Name, Geely. Race, human. Cultivation, Kai condensation, stage 1. Talent, first grade spirit root. Relief crossed Zion's face. His son had indeed stepped firmly onto the path of cultivation, and his health looked far better than before. Looking at his son standing there with respectful composure, he indeed appeared far younger than before. He stepped forward and patted Li's shoulder. "Now that you're a cultivator as well, come see me later. I'll arrange for someone to give you a cultivation manual you must practice diligently from now on." She immediately agreed. "Yes, father." His face was full of feeling. "Father, I'm so moved. I never imagined the day would come when you could become a legendary immortal." Chen sent his son away and then immediately entered secluded cultivation. System notification. Detected a person with extremely lucky fate. Initiating selection. Please choose. Option 1, encounter a person with extremely lucky fate and, for the development of the Xia family, accept them as a disciple. Reward, mid-grade, 5th level magical treasure. He looked at the system. His expression shifted slightly. A person with extremely lucky fate. It was the first time he'd heard such a description. Option 2, you encounter a person with extremely lucky fate, but they might bring disaster. Pretend not to notice. Reward, low grade, purple quality magical treasure. Zion smiled mischievously. Taking a disciple comes with such a fine reward, but I should still be cautious. Let's observe first. He reached out with his divine sense. First, he used his primordial spirit to sweep across the entire Qingyan mountain. Then he suddenly discovered a young man with a dirty face and patched clothes. Zion immediately summoned the boy to his side, startling him. The young man looked around in confusion. "Where am I?" At that moment, Zion spoke slowly from behind. "Young one, do not worry. This old man will not harm you." The young man, a little afraid, asked, "Who are you?" Xia Chen replied calmly, "This old man is the ancestor of the Xia family, named Zion. I have observed that your bone structure is remarkable. You are a prodigy for cultivation. Do you wish to become my disciple?" The young man appeared bewildered. "Become a disciple?" He seemed worried. "Ah, sir, what benefits are there if I become your disciple?" Hearing this, Zion laughed heartily. "Benefits will not be lacking. This old man will guide you on the path of immortal cultivation, seeking the way to eternal life." The young man's eyes brightened, though he admitted, "Although I don't understand the last 4 words, becoming an immortal sounds absolutely wonderful." He immediately knelt and greeted, "Master." The system displayed a notification. "Congratulations, host has received a mid-grade, 5th level magical treasure, Mystic Dragon Armor." Zion sat cross-legged. Good disciple. What is your name?" Then he looked down. "From now on I'll call you sire. How does that sound?" The young man bowed his head respectfully. Thank you, Master, for giving me a name. The system displayed name Shuchai, race human, cultivation none, identity great fortune bearer, spirit root 8th grade, spirit rot 8th grade. Indeed, a person of great fortune. Zion immediately called for Ling Kai. Ling Kai appeared and bowed respectfully. Yes, Master. Zion continued. From now on, the task of guiding Shu's cultivation I entrust to you. Ling Kai replied at once. Disciple obeys. At the Dark Soul Palace, a gloomy atmosphere shrouded the place. A figure clad entirely in black floated in midair, his body ringed with a stream of bright red spiritual energy. The disciples below knelt respectfully. Congratulations to the Palace Master for breaking through to the Yunying stage, they chanted. He looked up at the sky and murmured silently, Heaven favors the Dark Soul Palace. Then he took a spirit pill from a bottle, brought it to his lips, and swallowed to stabilize the power of the lightning tribulation. Now that I have ascended to Yunying, it is time for the Ming Kingdom to change hands. The disciples below shouted in unison, Palace Master, your wisdom is unparalleled. We will follow your orders for eternity. May the heavens protect the Dark Soul Palace. For your great cause, we are willing to brave fire and water. We will eliminate all sects in the Ming Kingdom. The man known as the Palace Master raised his hand and commanded, Summon all disciples and notify all our spies. Move quickly, destroy all forces in the Ming Kingdom. Those kneeling on the ground echoed the command together. Someone approached and said, Palace Master, the Tianxing Tower seems to be rising again. The Palace Master let out a faint HMPH. Just a swarm of headless flies. In the blink of an eye, we can completely wipe them out. His words made the messenger tremble slightly, but he still bowed respectfully. Wise Palace Master, this subordinate has spoken out of turn. Without another glance, the Palace Master floated away into the distance. 5 days later, Xiao Chen stood quietly in the courtyard, gazing up at the sky. Since the Dark Soul Palace began their campaign to eliminate sects and forces across the Ming Kingdom, 5 days had already passed. During this time, his cultivation had advanced to the 6th stage of Yuanying. The Xiao family had taken refuge on Mount Qing'an, a relatively safe place in the Ming Kingdom. With no powerful sects nearby since the Qing'an sect, the only dominant force in the region, had already been destroyed, they managed to avoid the Dark Soul Palace's assault for now. As Xiao Chen walked through the courtyard, he lifted his eyes and saw Jian Zai guiding the Xiao family's younger generation. Many of them had now successfully reached the foundation establishment stage. He stepped closer, produced several treasures, and said warmly, Well done in your cultivation. These pills are rewards for your efforts. The pills were all gifts previously granted by the system, but left unused until now. The descendants received them with joy, bowing deeply. Thank you, great ancestor. Xiao Chen smiled gently at them, his gaze falling upon their spirit roots. The corners of his lips curved upward. They were the future of the Xiao family. Just then, Xiao Sha approached, clasped his hands respectfully, and said, Father, I have something to report. By now, Xiao Sha had reached the 4th stage of Kai refining. Xiao Chen handed him a cup of hot tea and replied, No need to rush. Have some tea first. Sha accepted the cup and drank quickly before continuing. Father, 5 days ago, the Dark Soul Palace began its assault. Over a dozen sects, both large and small, have already fallen. All the righteous sects in the Ming Kingdom have now allied, preparing to resist together. Xiao Chen refilled his son's cup of tea, his brows knitting slightly. The Dark Soul Palace again. Last time it was Lai Qingxia pursuing Xiao Huo. Now another force rises, targeting the righteous sects. These demonic sects never know when to stop. His expression hardened. Sha, instruct the inner disciples not to involve themselves in this conflict. They must not leave the Xiao family's territory. Better to avoid trouble than invite it. He raised his hand solemnly. Our foremost priority is the safety of our descendants and the survival of the Zhao clan above all else. Sha clasped his hands in respect. Yes, Father. I will inform the inner disciples immediately. As Sha left, Zhao Chen's thoughts grew heavy. Hearing the report had stirred his concern for Huo. He feared she might cross paths with the Dark Soul Palace's cultivators. Without hesitation, he checked her status through the system. System notification. Granddaughter Zhao Huo has successfully broken through to Golden Core Stage 4. Zhao Chen nodded in satisfaction. Remarkable. To reach Golden Core Stage 4 in just 5 years.